Hi, welcome to the Perkins Podcast. This is Alan Perkins. Um, I'm from Horns Digest, and I'll be continuing my analysis of the Texas Tech Texas football game, and I'll also be recapping the Baylor Texas game a little bit as well. Um, Texas Tech operates out of the shotgun formation, and it looks like to me that anything under center is run so far this year, so maybe they're saving something for Texas. Um, in my opinion, Texas defense is not very good, which statistically it shows that. Texas should be able to do whatever they want against Texas Tech. I noticed that Tech's linebackers are very susceptible to biting on a play fake. So Texas should be able to run post, seam, and dig routes off the play action if Sterling Gilbert actually feels like implementing that into the offense. Mahomes takes a lot of risks and he tries to extend plays. He is a good college quarterback for sure, but I noticed in the Oklahoma game and the TCU game, which are the two games that I went back and watched in full, he is very likely to throw the ball up for grabs if he feels like his receiver even has half a step on the receiver. So I don't remember seeing him throw the ball away much, if at all. And he gets sacked and can get stripped of the ball because he holds it loosely, and he can also throw interceptions. So that's kind of the negative aspect of it. Obviously, a guy who just set the FBS record, the all-time FBS record for a single game for most yards gained in one game, obviously knows what he's doing, as he had 819 yards total, 734 of those passing, 85 yards rushing against OU a couple weeks ago. So obviously he's a very good quarterback. I'm not saying that he isn't, but I just noticed those things as far as weaknesses in his game. Tech is usually pretty successful when running short and medium routes, but Mahomes loves to go deep as well, and Kingsbury's worried about him playing quote-unquote hero ball too much at times, so we'll see how that goes. OU never really blitzed in Lubbock against Mahomes, and that was a mistake, and they never really changed their defense. So I think Texas is going to have to blitz on this game because I don't think they can get pressure with 3 and 4, at least not as consistently as UT and the fans want to get pressure on Mahomes, because you cannot let that guy get comfortable. So TCU only put 5 in the box, and they usually only rush 3 with maybe a spy on Mahomes, because Mahomes does like to scramble. But I think that the key was that TCU had excellent coverage in that game, and Texas might be able to have excellent coverage, but I just know that in the Cal game, Texas sat back in kind of the same defense all game and was kind of in like a prevent 3 or 4 man rush prevent defense and never really blitzed and never really mixed it up. So I just think Texas needs to get exotic and creative with their blitzes and just bring pressure from everywhere. And if that means that we're giving up yards early on, then that's not a big deal to me in my mind, because they have to put pressure on Mahomes. They have to hit him, and they have to confuse him and make him feel uncomfortable, because if that guy gets hot or gets rolling, then Texas is going to have a lot of problems on their hands. I think Tech also has a problem being patient. I don't think they necessarily want to have long, drawn-out drives. I don't know why I have that feeling, but I think if Texas forces Tech to be patient, then they might be able to get some turnovers or some sacks or mistakes, because Tech is one of the most heavily penalized teams in the country with 75 yards per game in penalties. So that's something to look forward to. Texas Tech is going to DeLeon Ward lately as their running back. He's a true freshman. He has 4.3 yards per carry, and he's kind of been the featured back the last 2 weeks. He's able to break tackles and can make people miss. In my mind, he's an average Big 12 back. He's not amazing, but he's not horrible. He's kind of in between. The Tech O-line is pretty good in pass protection. They don't open up holes for their running backs, though, but I have been pretty impressed in their pass protection, and usually the sacks that I've seen are more having to do with Mahomes scrambling around and trying to buy time or leave the pocket when it's not even necessary, when he's got pretty good protection, instead of him just throwing it away. So the Texas Tech defensive backs are beatable. Tech doesn't have a lot of playmakers in the secondary from what I've seen. So Texas will have to take advantage of that. Most of the Tech receivers have great hands, and they'll be slinging the ball around a lot. So I've been very impressed with the Tech receivers' ability to bring in tough catches on 50-50 balls or a throw that maybe is not perfectly accurate, but they're still able to hold on to the ball even when the throw is away from the body. Another stat that I thought was interesting is that since 2000, Texas Tech has thrown 652 passing touchdowns. So it's not surprising when you throw 50 a year or so, but I still thought that was a pretty impressive stat. With Texas being 0-4 away from DKR and 0-3 in true road games this year, they need to find success early and often. All three phases have had bad quarters or halves too often this year. And they're 1-7 on the road in the last 2 years. So Texas needs to stay in the game early. I think that's important for a team that's still fragile mentally and still young. I think that they're starting to turn a corner, but we'll find out, because this is going to be a test, and it's yet another road game where they haven't won it all this year, and it's against the number one passing offense in the country. So they will be tested for sure. I think in the end this is going to be a back-and-forth battle, and I think it's important to kind of pay attention to how UT handles any lack of success. If the offense is bogging down or having a tough time, are they at least able to get a field goal? Or if they're not scoring, are they at least able to flip field position and buy the defense a few minutes of rest instead of going 3 and out in literally 1 or 2 minutes? The defense is back on the field. I think every play is going to matter in this game, and the margin for error for both teams is small. So every play is important, every yard, every point, everything is important, because I think this is going to be a really close game, and both teams have beaten themselves multiple times this year. So I think those are some of the things to keep your eye on. Last week, the UTO line had their best game against Baylor. They did some really good things, so hopefully that'll continue. And Shane Buechele won the Big 12 Newcomer of the Week last week, and that's the third time this year that he won the award. The other 2 times were earlier in the year at the first 2 weeks of the season. Texas improved in the following areas against Baylor, in my mind. Mental toughness, red zone defense, penalties. They only had 4 penalties for 23 yards, I think. They had better coverage for sure, and they prevented the deep ball getting beat over the top for the most part. And Trent Domain made both of his field goals, which was huge, obviously. So those are the areas that I thought Texas improved in, which were all vital towards success. Couple other things to note for this series. UT leads 49-15 against Texas Tech. Their last meeting last year, Texas Tech won in Austin 48-45 on November 26th, which is my birthday, coincidentally. Texas Tech leads the country in 3 offensive categories: passing offense, which I mentioned, first down offense. They've gotten 253 first downs, and third down conversion percentage, which is 57.8%. Texas enters the game as one of just 7 teams nationally to be ranked in the top 30 in total offense, with both a top 40 rushing and top 40 passing attack. Deontay Foreman rushed for 100 yards or more in 9 consecutive games, and that's he's the active NCAA leader for that record. And that streak is second in school history behind Earl Campbell's 11 straight 100-yard performances, which he did in 1977. Texas Tech is riding a consecutive game scoring streak that spans 241 games dating back to the 1997 season, and that streak ranks 11th nationally and is the second longest streak in the Big 12 behind TCU. So I think Texas has the advantage when it comes to their offensive line and the running backs versus the Tech defensive line. Tech usually runs a 4-down line with both defensive ends standing up, and then they'll occasionally use a 3-down line or they'll use a 3-down line sometimes also, but the 4-down lineman is what they usually go with. Tech usually rushes 4 or 5 players by my count in the TCU and Oklahoma game. That was what they usually did from what I saw on film. When the opposing offense does have success on the ground, Tech has no problems putting 7 guys in the box, even if an offense has 4 wide receivers split out wide. They will still put up to 7 guys in the box to try to stop the run. So and they'll bring their safeties and their defensive backs usually play within 10 yards of the line of scrimmage as well. Tech does not generate much of a pass rush from what I saw. And, so hence why their defense is not having a whole lot of success. Texas, not only just for moving the ball, but for time of possession too. Running the ball will be huge in this game. They need to dominate time of possession just to give their defense a break, and I know that's not really their style with the up-tempo offense, and I don't think they should necessarily change anything as far as the up-tempo, because it keeps the opposing defenses off guard and opposing defenses get tired. But if nothing else, just by a matter of luck, getting first downs, running the clock, running the ball will be huge in this game, and I don't think they should necessarily change their offense or change their strategy to try and dominate time of possession, but keep an eye on that, I guess, just to see how often Texas' defense and offense is on the field and how that's impacting their play. Joe Mixon of Oklahoma had a great game against Texas Tech a few weeks ago. He caught 4 balls for 114 yards and had 3 touchdowns receiving, and he also had 263 yards rushing. And he had a TD or 2 on the ground in that game. So I'd really like to see Gilbert throw it to Foreman more just in general. But after watching that game, Mixon caught passes out of the backfield. He went deep, and Baker Mayfield threw it to him. So they did whatever they wanted through the air in that game and on the ground. I think Texas Tech has a slight advantage in the offensive line and running back category versus Texas' defensive line. The only reason I say that is that Tech, their offensive line is great in pass protection. Run blocking, maybe not so much. Texas probably has the advantage there, but I think the key is going to be when Texas gets into the backfield, do they actually come up with a sack or a deflection or an effective quarterback pressure? Because I can't count how many times Texas has gotten into the backfield this year and the quarterback escaped, got away, bought himself a second or more too, and then threw it down the field and ended up burning Texas. So that's going to be something to keep your eye on as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Texas won that matchup between the defensive line of Texas and the offensive line of Texas Tech, but it's really about, in my mind, Texas Tech's ability to pass protect is pretty good, and also it's dependent upon Mahomes. If Mahomes gets rid of the ball in 2 or 3 seconds, and they're using their quick strike offense where it's just intermediate and short routes, Tech should be fine. If Mahomes is trying to scramble around and buy all this time and make 50-yard throws off his back foot or in just strange throwing platforms and situations that wouldn't be taught at any quarterback school, then that's when Texas needs to take advantage and turn it into a sack or a turnover or a deflection instead of a 50-yard bomb. And I think that's going to be the key of the game, is when Mahomes tries to improvise, what is the result of those plays? Because Texas is going to have opportunities to attack that. So I want to thank you for listening to the Perkins Podcast. I'll be adding another one here shortly, here on Friday about 11:45 currently Central Time. And again, I'm working for Horns Digest with the Scout Network, and Chip Brown is the man in charge of the site, and he's got 25 years of experience covering University of Texas. So head on over to Horns Digest, where you can get all that insider information from Chip Brown and yours truly. Have a great day. Thank you for listening, and I will talk to you all again soon.